I don't think that shirt. It's a very bad shirt. That's clear. I don't think that shirt was representative of the shirt I wore at the time. I feel that must be the worst. I don't think there were worse ones. The shirt is terrible. The hair is very bad also.
Welcome back to Move Mag Asia, and today we are lucky enough to get to speak to one of the most legendary acts in the business at the moment. Hardworking, started to play the piano at the age of 4, grew up on the mean streets of Southampton, moved to Manchester, and later moving to LA. Hits such as Concrete Angel, You'll Be Okay, and we are here with the man, the myth, the legend, Mr. Gareth Emery. Yo.
Well, I can't follow that intro. Fucking hell. Thank you, that was a good one.
How's it going?
Can I swear?
Yeah, it's okay.
All right, good. I'm messed up already. Very good, and good to be here. Yeah, show was great. Get to go home for Christmas tomorrow, so yeah, it's nice.
So yesterday you played at 808. So
Yeah.
how was that?
It was massive. Production was so good. I've never done a festival here in Thailand. It's only been clubs.
So this is your first festival here?
First festival here. And it was big, and the crowd was good. The crowd was great as well. Seemed to like a wide variety of stuff. Yeah, no, it was good. It was good vibes.
I saw that you mentioned once that the first 10 minutes of your set is usually like a fact-finding.
That's exactly it. Yeah, I think you have a lot of artists, particularly these days, who tend to not so a lot of people say people fake sets or whatever.
Yeah.
Nobody does that. There's no fucking need to. But what a lot of artists will do is have an entire set completely planned out with no ability to change it. And for me, part of the beauty of DJing is being able to change your direction based on what you're seeing in front of you.
Yeah, sure.
So yeah, the first 10 minutes, I'm going to play some of my own stuff.
Yeah.
I'm going to do one commercial one. I'm going to do one classic. And that should hopefully give me insight. Is the crowd old school?
Yeah.
Is it people that want to hear my own stuff? Is it commercial? Or if nothing works, we're going to be in for a long night. But and that will kind of inform where to go from there.
And gigging wise, you do a lot of gigs in America with your Laserface.
Yeah.
Do you think that the crowds are different in Asia?
They are, but it really depends where you go, right? So Singapore, Korea tend to be much more similar to the American crowds.
Yeah.
When you're playing in a city a bit off the beaten path in China, sort of not like a Shanghai, but Guangzhou or Shenzhen or something, you're going to get a more interesting crowd. So they definitely are different in Asia, but it can be completely different based on the country.
Yeah. And I want to start by talking about Garuda, which is your record label.
Used to be, yeah. I don't tend, yeah. I mean, it's kind of retired. It kind of ran its course, but we had many great years with it.
The reason I ask is because the Garuda is the national emblem of Thailand.
Oh, is it really?
Yeah.
Indonesia as well, I think, actually. Yeah, that's really cool.
So, where did the name come from?
I kind of wanted something that sounded like Gareth, basically. And I always like the word. I'd done a lot of touring in Indonesia, so I'd seen the airline, and it just came from that basically.
So living in LA, I lived there for 9 years. Nearly 10.
I think 10 years. 10 years in January, which
Long
is
time.
mental. Yeah.
For me, living here is nearly 9 years. Nearly 9 years.
About the same amount of time. Yeah.
So do you class yourself as an expat?
In LA, I'm an expat, but it is nice going back home. Because it's the only place and you probably find this as well, you go back home and you're in your own hometown, and it's the only place in the world where nobody asks you where you're from. Even in America, people there's loads of Brits in LA, so nobody really gives a shit.
Yeah.
But other parts of the country, it's hey, you have an accent, where are you from? And it's fine, I like talking to people, I like telling people the story. But when I'm back home in Southampton, in Lox Heath, which is the little suburb outside of Southampton I come from, nobody ever says where you're from, and I quite like that.
That's all right then. Do you miss anything about England?
Oh, loads of things. Not enough for me to move back there. Otherwise, I would have done it. But yeah, I miss going to rugby matches, going to football matches, proper English breakfasts, National Health Service.
Curries? Do you miss Indian curry?
Yeah, well, the Indian food in LA is not as good.
Same here.
I have Thai curries mainly, actually. So yeah, always want to go back to England. It's full English breakfast and lots of Indian meals out because the Indian food is just so good there.
Can you remember Akbar's in Manchester?
Love Akbar's.
Absolutely amazing.
I actually had a meal not at Akbar's because it's always so busy. I didn't want to deal with the crowds, but at East is East, which is kind of like the second best one in Manchester, I think. We went there the night before Creamfields last year. So yeah, I've been there like reasonably recently.
So moving from Southampton to Manchester, you got an office above Sankey's, which for Thai viewers, Sankey's is like, how would you explain Sankey's?
It was the most legendary club. I mean, it became #1 club in the world shortly after that, but it was this like, it wasn't like, the legendary clubs these days tend to be more polished.
Yeah.
Right, there's like bottles and tables and people with money.
And Sankey's
like,
is
you're
dirty.
treated well. Filthy. Like, you'd be like crushed in like a fucking sardine tin. Smoke would be dripping off the roof. Like, everybody in there was on many illegal substances. Mostly the people that ran the club. And like, what a place to work. What an era.
So what was this a strategic move on your part? Because when you moved there, it was like early on in your career.
Yeah, no, it was like I moved to Manchester because I never wanted to move up north. But we had moved to East Anglia because Kat, who's my girlfriend, my wife now, had a job there, and I just hated it. We were living in Wisbech, miles from anywhere.
Yeah.
And I was like, I will move anywhere. As long as it's a city. I like cities. I can't do rural areas. So she was like, well, I got a job in Manchester, let's move there. So it was literally because of her work.
Yeah.
I could work anywhere. Sankey's thing, a guy who used to work for me, you'll remember him, Adam Flexer.
Yeah.
Was kind of like my manager of sorts for a few years. I said to him, find us an office. And he was like, I found us an office. It's got a studio built into it because the bloke that used to have it had a studio.
Oh, okay, so the studio was already there?
Studio was already there because somebody who used to have that office had built a studio, so there was like some soundproofing and stuff. And he was like, it's in the building Sankey's is in. It's £500 a month.
Yeah.
So that's, it was like pretty reasonable. Sankey's wanted nothing to do with us. Like, they looked down on trance so much. I had to beg them for 6 months before they even gave us Spectrum, which was like their sister club. It was 200 people. They're like, you would never. They basically said, you'll never get to do a show in Sankey's, but if you want to do Spectrum, you can have that.
So is this the point that you started becoming a little bit of a promoter to get yourself on the bill?
Well, yeah, but it was because nobody in the UK would book me. It would literally came out of necessity. I think it's always harder to be taken seriously in the country where you come from.
Yeah, definitely.
So like in the UK, we love like the Dutch DJs and the German DJs and like the Italian ones. We give our own. I mean, British people are a bit like this anyway. We like give our own artists a bit of a harder time. So like, I felt like I was a decent producer. I'd make some decent records. I was getting to be a pretty good DJ. I'd been doing it like for 8 years or whatever. And nobody gave a fuck about me in the UK. And I was like, I'm never going to get these big bookings unless I start doing them myself. So yeah, it just came out of necessity, really.
So what was behind the move to LA?
Dance music had just gone so crazy in the US. It had just exploded there. And I was going there 3 weekends a month sometimes.
Yeah.
So I'd like fly on Thursday, do shows Thursday, Friday, Saturday night, fly back on Sunday, arrive home Monday afternoon back into Manchester, have like 3 days to like do some washing and try and make some tunes, and I'll
do
be back,
exactly the same again.
do the same thing again the next weekend. So I just felt like LA was where it was at, like creatively.
Yeah.
Always wanted to like try somewhere living somewhere else, and we went there for 6 months, and 10 years later, we're still there. But I don't know, like the US, if you're able to crack it, is an amazing place to be, just because it's a big country.
Yeah.
It's nearly 300 million people, and there's so many different places you can play. So you can do a lot of shows whilst never leaving the country. You never have the hassle of crossing borders. All the airports work the same. You get paid in the same money.
Easy.
So like, you're able to do like a lot of great touring whilst also like not being away like too much.
Yeah, decent. So you said once that you don't come from a musical family. However, you and your sister Roxy are really singer-songwriters.
I mean, she was more of a songwriter and I was more of like the producer, but then as the years went on, I got much more into the songwriting side. And particularly like the last like few albums have been all my own songs, my own lyrics. So that has honestly been like the best journey the past few years, learning how to write the lyrics and be fully in the songs, as opposed to like having other people doing those bits.
Did your mum and dad like send you to like music classes?
We got sent to like piano lessons and
Yeah.
stuff, and like got pushed into doing like piano festivals and shit. But I don't know, man. Like for me, it was this weird like intuitive thing. I was able to play the piano, having had no lessons. And my mum had played when she was a kid, but like hadn't done as an adult. My dad had never played.
Yeah.
And at like 4 or 5 years old, I could hear any song and basically play it back on the piano, like my own version of it.
Yeah.
And it was this, well, like still now, I can kind of do some version of that. And it was like, a lot of, I guess, what's brought me here has been hard work and like dedication to the craft and always trying to be better. But there was also like a certain amount of just like DNA that I just fucking lucked out with.
Yeah.
I was shit at sport. I would have basically got the music, talent, but none in sport.
Do you like football?
Love football. Yeah, rugby's my number one sport, but like football, I was saying season ticket holder for many years.
I miss football being here because like I'm from Stoke, and Stoke have dropped out of the Premier League.
Yeah.
A long time ago. So it's kind of hard for me to watch Stoke on TV. So it's a bit of a nightmare.
Well, that's the same with rugby, right? Six Nations rugby is the hardest thing to see outside of the UK because nobody cares about it. Like World Cup, which we just had, is fine, right? Because you see it everywhere.
Yeah.
But rugby, I've always got to get like VPNs and stuff. Like watching it in the US is like a fucking nightmare.
Yeah. Talking about Stoke, you have a friendship with a fellow Stokey, Ashley Wallbridge.
Yeah.
How did that come about?
I don't know. I think like Ash, I remixed the track of Ash's. It must be 15 years ago now, and I remember thinking like, who the fuck's this guy? He's pretty good. And we have a very like a similar style.
Yeah.
And then he made Faces with Andy.
Yeah.
And we sort of met at a show. It was like at a State of Trance show after that, and we did our first collab, which was a track called Mansion. And then it just was like, we have a very similar way of looking at music. We kind of like write similar melodies, like our brain interprets music in the same way, which makes for this great synergy when doing music. It's one where like, we always know what needs to be doing.
Yeah.
He can send me over something and go like, oh, the melody needs fixing, and I know exactly what needs to be done with it. And then I will send him something over and say like, the drums need fixing, because he's a bit better at that stuff, and he knows exactly what needs to be done. So like, it's just been a great kind of like back and forth kind of working relationship.
And he's 50% of CVNT5.
CVNT5. That's how we'll say it. Yeah.
I want to ask, are any of those clothes actually yours?
They all were. I had to buy them for the
What?
music. I had to buy them for the music video.
Did you ever wear them?
I think
They're
I
your
wore.
real
I wore
clothes?
some of them. I think I wore some of them. Yeah.
Glittery hat?
I actually love. I love the outfits. I love that stuff. I actually really miss it. The outfits would be the one reason I'd go back and do it again.
And social media has changed a lot in the past 15, 20 years. Like, you probably remember the days carrying your flight case into the club with full of records.
Yeah.
But now it's completely different. Do you think social media's had an adverse effect on the industry or a positive?
Yeah, that's a good question. I mean, I think anybody that is successful currently, it's had a positive effect.
Yeah.
Because those people who social media has not worked out for are not playing festivals to like 15,000 people in Thailand. Like the people that it didn't work for are kind of out of the game. So it's definitely been positive for my career. I don't think it's positive for anybody's mental health. Like I don't have Instagram on my phone right now. It's just like we were on this like big Laser City tour, and I was just going mad with the amount of like messages and stuff. And I was like, I can't be on this on a day-to-day basis. So I take regular breaks from it.
Yeah.
Do I enjoy it? Not necessarily, but my gosh, it's had a massive impact, and it's so fucking important. You can't be an artist without it. In fact, like you always need to be on top of where it's going as well.
Like taking it back to the days that before you were signed or before you were famous, sending hundreds of CDs out in jiffy bags to record labels. You don't know if they're getting listened to. You don't get any replies. Yeah,
I think that, but that also weeded out a lot of shit from the process, right?
Yeah.
So like, it was so hard to reach record labels.
Yeah.
Like, they didn't even put their email addresses on the sleeves. So
it's hard to find the address.
Dude,
to
it
even send
was
to.
like this brick wall that you just couldn't penetrate. Yeah, the address is hard to find.
Yeah.
Like, I would literally call directory inquiries and say like, can I have the phone number for like, I don't know, like Neo Records, and you'd call up and somebody's like, what? And you'd be like, can I have your address to send you some music, please? And they would begrudgingly give it to you.
Yeah.
But what it did mean was, once you got a record released,
Yeah.
you'd almost kind of made it. Whereas now, much easier to reach the record labels,
Yeah.
much easier to get feedback,
Harder
much
to
easier to
stuff
get
out.
signed.
Mm.
But when the record comes out, it done like one record doesn't make it for you because so much music comes out.
Yeah, there's
So,
a lot of music.
Yeah, it was like I think the hard work back then was on the front end. It was getting your foot in the door. Now it's like releasing the music is easy,
Yeah.
but getting it to a lot of people
So on the
that's
back
hard.
end. Good analogy. So last one. Last week was your 10th anniversary with
Yes.
Cat.
Yes.
Happy anniversary.
Thank you.
I've just got one picture. The earliest picture that I could find on my phone of you and Kat
Yeah.
was in Miami. I think it was 2007, 2008,
Well, that's
maybe.
I first went in 2008, I think.
Oh, it'll be 2008.
yeah,
then.
2008 I first went. Let's
So,
say
Gaz, I just want you to rate. Your style.
I mean,
Out of 10. Rate out of 10.
well, look, I don't think that shirt. It's a very bad shirt. That's clear. I don't think that shirt was representative of the shirt I wore at the time. I feel that must be the worst.
Mm.
I don't think there were worse ones. The shirt is terrible. The hair is very bad also. But listen, style is cyclical, and let's just take like I don't know, like let's take fucking Elvis Presley, right? If you got shown pictures of Elvis Presley fashion 10 years later, you'd
Yeah.
probably go, oh, it's shit, he's out of fashion, it's uncool. But now he's back. There's the Baz Luhrmann film, Elvis shit is cool again.
Mm.
So who knows? Maybe garish, horrible, horizontal stripe Ben Sherman shirts
It's not
at
that
some
bad.
point will have a revival and they'll come back again. But I'm going to give the shirt 3 out of 10, and that's only because the fit is good. I'll give the hair 5 out of 10, and Kat quite annoyingly looks the same as she does now. So,
Well, to be honest, I've looked at some pictures of me and Andy. So the first time we went to Miami Music Conference was in 2000. I am shocked anyone took us seriously or anybody let us even through the door of anywhere. We look so bad.
well, most people in Miami Music Week didn't let me through the door of anywhere. Like, you'd always turn up and it was like, no, you're not on the guest list, even though it's been confirmed by 10 different people. That was like the nature of the week, I think.
But Gaz, thank you for taking the time out today. I appreciate it a lot. Gareth Emery.
Boom. Thank you.
Thanks, Mum.
Good times.
Appreciate it.
Cheers.
Thank you.